Hello YouTube, my name is Benny, and today I will be dissecting the incredible career of a band named Comrades. So Comrades formed in 2008, I believe, and they did come out with a record before they were signed to Face Down called Safekeeper. But I won't be talking too much about that today. Not that it's not a good record at all, but I definitely believe they mastered their craft and peaked in later records. So yeah, formed in 2008, and they've always been a three-piece band. The lead vocalist Laura is married to their lead guitarist and other lead vocalist. So a married couple, and then a third wheel. Hey, editing Benny here. So I wanted to double check their Wikipedia page because I wanted to correct myself a bit. I think I did miss a couple things. So before they were signed to Face Down, they were signed to Blood and Ink Records, and that was for their album Safekeeper. But I did also want to mention the other band members by name. So founding members Laura Reitzel and Joe McElroy. Sorry if I'm pronouncing your last names wrong. Were, like I said, the original founding members. And then Ben, the drummer, who also has my name, I don't know how I could forget to mention him, left the band in 2017 after recording Lone and Gray. And then replacing him was John Gaskill. So I was correct in saying they were always a three-piece, but they switched members once with Ben and then John taking that place. So I did want to mention that. I do want to talk about their 2016 record, Lone Gray, first. I did mention it in my last video. I do have that album tattooed on my knuckles because of how much it did change my life. Now, when I first heard Comrades, I think I was 13, and I was in my study hall class on Face Down Records website, actually looking for some merchandise for bands like Impending Doom. I know Impending Doom was with them for a short amount of time, but I stumbled across Comrades, and I thought, I like listening to new music. Let me look them up on YouTube. And the first song that came up was Underground Queen. That song changed my life. It shattered my whole perspective of what music should sound like, in the words of the Cozy Representative. If you don't know him, he's definitely probably my favorite YouTuber. He mentioned that same thing when describing listening to Downtown Battle Mountain 2 by Dance Gavin Dance for the first time. Regardless, when I listened to that song, not only have I never heard a song structure like that before, but I also had never heard two clean vocalists, a guy and a girl, and, dirty screaming, it blew my mind. And especially the fact that they didn't need to down-tune their guitars to, just chugging or something. Not that I don't love that music. I still love that music to this day, but it blew my little 13-year-old mind out of the water. So instantly I started listening to the whole Lone Gray record. I purchased it on iTunes, actually. I put it on my Walkman MP3 player, and I had that album on repeat for a year. I think the whole year. That was just probably the only thing I listened to. Shepherd's Hymn was, I think, their number one song off of that record. And that one was incredible. Another one of my favorites was Empty Frame on that album. Oh my goodness. So good. And again, I had never heard a band use sort of metaphorical, creative, sometimes, a little bit uncommon or outlandish lyrics to describe feelings or experiences before. I had kind of been accustomed to bands using very basic, for lack of a better term, lyrics, ones that could apply to literally anybody in any walk of life. And, Nothing wrong with that music. I definitely just grew out of it. Like 3 Days Grace and Skillet. I gotta give respect where it's due because I was dogging on Skillet in my last video. Comatose was a great record for the time. I look back and I cringe a little bit, Better Than Drugs off that album is a little cringy. Rebirthing is a little cringy. But, they made some bangers. Whispers in the Dark is still an incredible song. But anyway, that's besides the point. Very just straightforward lyrics about, struggling or, overcoming or, just being pissed off, whatever kind of applied to a very direct sort of emotion that the singer was feeling. And I hadn't heard a band talk about like a queen that appears in your dreams and like promises you fleeting desires before. Like I just, that was non-existent to me. Not only that, but sadly I was a little bullied in school, and was going through a lot of things at home, and they were definitely a huge escape for me, and I found myself relating to them way more than I ever could with any other band. They definitely became my favorite. So talented, some of the guitar solos that are on that record, solos, I guess, were so creative, rather than just like single climbing notes, they were all over the place, and it was awesome. Again, going back to the song structures too, at the time was so used to a chorus verse bridge, chorus verse kind of stuff, and they shattered that as well. Not that they don't sort of have that, but they threw in a lot of really cool creative elements. An example being, like I said earlier, Empty Frame. Listen to the breakdown towards the end of the song here. Now, after listening to this record for over a year, over and over and over, I wanted to see them live. They were definitely one of my first experiences with a band that wasn't in the mainstream either. My name is Benny. I listen to a lot of Breaking Benjamin as well. And they were on my list, of concerts to see. And when I saw Comrades tickets compared to Breaking Benjamin tickets, I said, that can't be right. Comrades is just as good, if not better, than Breaking Benjamin. Why? They're charging $15 at the door, for tickets. That kind of blew my mind a little bit too as a teenager. But I didn't realize that was definitely one of my first experiences with a little more underground band. But sadly, I never saw a tour date where they came to St. Pete, Florida, which is where I'm from. I never got to see them live, which breaks my heart. And the reason I never got to see them instead of I haven't seen them yet is because they broke up, but we will get into that later. So after listening to them for as long as I did, I was waiting and waiting and waiting for another record. And for We Are Not Yet, We Are Only Becoming came out in 2019. And that record was also incredible. I did own one of their limited edition vinyls of it, but when I was homeless about a year or two ago, it got rained on and I lost it forever. So that sucks, but that record was also incredible. I did take note that they took a more softer approach in a few of their songs. Not that that's an issue. And I will say they still kept the heaviness element throughout the whole record. There was not a moment where I was like, this isn't Comrades. Like, every single song was just perfection, back to back 10 out of 10 records. Cliff Dwelling was the single off of that album. And that song, to this day, still gives me goosebumps every time I listen to it, especially the ending, where it's this really ethereal, otherworldly kind of instrumental after Laura kind of brings us through the same line 3 times. It just... Like, if I don't get goosebumps, I'm crying to that song. It is so good, dude. After 2019, I did start to explore a lot more into different bands, and, as one does as they expand their music taste. And I didn't really revisit them for a little while. I got my fair share of Comrades, and I just listened to them until I couldn't listen to them anymore. And then I come back. What year was it? Hold on. What year was it that... Guys, I gotta double check this information. 2 years ago, January 1st, Comrades posted a statement on their Instagram. And that was it. That was it. They were gone. I'm still upset about that to this day. But she did talk about how there is, real struggle and real sharpening, that goes on in a band with your significant other, rather than if it was just, a bunch of buddies. Not that that also doesn't create tension, but she was married to this guy she was in a band with. And the difficulties as well as the blessings that come with it. So I assume, they talk a little bit in this statement about, how much they're appreciative of the bands they've performed with and grateful for their career over the past 10 or so years. But they didn't really give, a set in stone solid reason as to why they were breaking up. But this is just, my thoughts, my guess. Is because there was a lot more turmoil coming to the surface with husband and wife relationship, as well as the other bandmate being in the band. So I assume it may have had something to do with that, and they wanted to preserve their relationship rather than try to strain it more by staying a band. Which, if that's the case, good on them. That's awesome. Relationships are definitely important, and your husband and wife relationship is the most important relationship you'll have. So, I can't blame them. If I had one wish for one band to come back, it would be Comrades. And you know how many bands I love that are no longer together? Like, even in my last video, I talked about Her Words Kill. It would be, they're up there, but it would be incredible to see them, reunite after they broke up in 2007. What has it been? Almost 20 years. Almost 20 years having them come back. That would be awesome. But if I had a choice between Her Words Kill and Comrades, I would pick Comrades. And not only because their music helped me through a lot and kind of shattered my perspective of what music should sound like, following a formula rather than just following your creative direction. But they are a Christian band, and I myself am a Christian. I would love to just see them take their relationship with God to another level, and not only sharing that in their testimony with more people after this many years, but also I would love to see more interviews of them diving deeper into their albums and their lyrics and their motives behind writing certain songs or experiences that inspired certain songs. And I mean, if a band's not around, you can't really get any more of that behind the scenes stuff.
Basically, we kind of started a band in order to perform at this coffee house.
If you have to play a cover song and you try out, and if you make it, you get to play in front of 6,000 people. So it's a pretty cool thing to do. And I was trying to get her to date me at the time, and she didn't want to date me, but I was like, man, if we play music together, that's just like perfect.
So anyway, they couldn't find a dude that would play bass well enough, and I was like, I play bass. And it was really terrifying because you don't want to be like the girl who's like, this is something a band because blah blah blah. But yeah, I tried out, and Dave, who was our drummer at the time, actually asked me to be in the band, and so we kind of did our little hardcore Beloved style band, and then we kind of morphed into Comrades over the next few years.
But I will say, I was in contact with them on Instagram a few times. And let me find that again. Actually, about a year or so ago, I was in a band. I will not disclose the information of that band, but I'm sure you can find it on my music platforms. But I reached out to them and was seeing if I could do a cover of Empty Frame with my band. I said, hey guys, just wanted to say how thankful I am for y'all's existence. I never got to catch a show, and it's my biggest regret. Your music has saved my life, true, and introduced me to the post-hardcore and metal scene. You guys are one of my favorite bands of all time. If there's ever a reunion tour, I'll be the first in line. Love you guys, and thank you for your beautiful music. You have blessed the world and my soul. Comrades forever. And they said, thank you for listening and letting us be a part of your journey. I don't know if that will ever happen, but thank you for your support. And then I messaged them again, and I said, hey again, been a while, just wanted to ask permission to cover and release Empty Frame. It's one of my favorite songs by y'all, and has impacted me so much. I will give all credit where it's due, yada yada. I also got permission from another incredible band on Face Down, Deathbreaker, to do a cover of their song, The Sinking. So I mentioned that here. I know y'all were on Face Down together, so I'd love to know if this would be a possibility. Sending love. And they said, sure thing, cover away. So this is proof. This is proof. If my freaking camera will focus. Gosh. But yeah, that was it. That's Comrades. If you guys ever, for some reason, see this video, please come back. Please. Please. I mean, I don't want to ask you guys to do something that A, you may not be passionate about anymore, or B, would put strain on your friendships and relationships. I'm not asking in a way that would make you guys sacrifice any growth or personal goals or endeavors. But if y'all are thinking about it, just please do it. I'll buy anything. If your name is on it, I will own it. I will own it. If there is a show announced, I will be there. If it is across the country, I live in Florida. If it's across the country, I will buy plane tickets and fly there. We love you, Comrades. Comrades forever. Please come back. If you don't come back for a show, we would love to hear some demos or maybe some scrapped ideas, or maybe get some B-sides from Lone Grey, or B-sides from your last album. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. So if there's anything new happening in the world of Comrades, I will be the first to talk about it, because if you couldn't tell, I love Comrades. So but anyway, if you enjoyed watching this video, watch my next one. Have a great day.